Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about generations of computer. Generation of computer refers to how hardware and software had evolved over time. During this time, in the year 1946, the first successful electronic computer called ENIAC was developed, and it was the starting point of the current generation of computer. Let's start with the first generation. In this generation, the computers were bulky in size, required a large space for installation, and operating speed was slow, so they weren't very reliable, and programming on them was a really tedious task, as they used high-level programming language and used no OS. Second generation. In this generation, the computers were smaller compared to first generation, generated less heat, consumed less power. Programming language was shifted from high level to programming language and made programming comparatively a simple task for programmers. In the third generation, computers were smaller, faster, more reliable, and consumed less power. Programming was now whipped out higher level languages like BASIC, beginners, or all-purpose symbolic instruction code. Fourth generated. The computers using microchips were called microcomputers. This generation provided the even smaller size of computers with larger capacities. In 1981, IBM introduced its first personal computer for the home user, and in 1984, Apple introduced the Macintosh. Microprocessors also moved out of the realm of desktop computers and into many areas of life as more and more everyday products began to use the microprocessor chip. As these small computers became more powerful, they could be linked together to form networks, which eventually led to the development of the Internet. The last generation, fifth generation, based on artificial intelligence, is still in development, though there are some applications, such as voice recognition, that are being used today. The goal of this generation computing is to develop devices that will respond to natural language input and are capable of learning and self-organization.
International Business Machines Corporation, or IBM. IBM is a top US computer manufacturer with significant market shares in the US and overseas. 50 years ago, before Apple started in the garage and Mark Zuckerberg wasn't yet bored, this company owned the tech division. It had worked hard for decades, stayed relevant, and has built a solid reputation. So let's see how they pull it off in this company story. International Business Machines, or IBM, was incorporated in 1911. They were later referred to as the Computing Tabulating Recording Company. The founder, Charles Randall Flint, didn't start the CTR company from scratch. It was rather created through the merger of three companies that had been around since the late 1800s. Computing Scale Company, Tabulating Machine Company, and Time Recording Company. The newly formed company was headquartered in New York City and employed a total of around 1,300 people. In those early years, CTR concentrated on products such as accounting and calculating machines, business time recorders, and mechanical punch card systems. Later, Thomas Watson took over the company in 1924 and renamed it International Business Machines, or IBM. During his first years, Watson ensured IBM's success through business and marketing strategies, developing products based on the needs of individual customers. Over time, Thomas Watson's son took over the company, and that's when IBM's computer business shifted from the market mechanical switches back to the vacuum tubes of the vacuum tube multiplier, because they were less stressful to maintain and change. In the 1950s and 1960s, IBM invented most of the principal technologies that enabled computers to become an integral part of the business world. It created the function vacuum tube computer, which was the foundation for all computers until the microchip was invented. As more satellites and spacecraft are launched into Earth's orbit to perform tasks, the need for computation in space also grows more pronounced. That's where IBM comes in. In partnership with NASA, IBM tracked the orbital flights of the Mercury astronauts. It also developed and manufactured Apollo spacecraft guidance computers. The modern age of IBM probably began in 1981 with the Personal Computer 5150 or the PC. And this was one of the first computers designed for consumers instead of businesses or the government.